Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined by Don Wittman today, once again from Wittman Technologies. Excited to have him here as an author, as a consultant, as a LinkedIn expert, and so much more. He really can help you in so many different ways, from marketing to programming, you name it. He does it. Don, welcome back. How are you?
Great, thank you. Even with all the snow, little snow outside.
Oh, yeah. What do you have? We have nothing so far, just a little rain on Long Island, but I hear the city's getting hit with some snow at the moment.
It's snowing, but there's so much salt down that it's not sticking to the streets. But it's supposed to get.
Connecticut prepares.
That's right. Well, Hartford's apparently getting hurt pretty bad.
Okay.
Boston, but here it's sort of on the borderline.
Great. Well, welcome to the show. Please say hello to everyone today. The website is wittmantechnology.com if you want to visit to find out more about Don, because he's here to help bring those solutions to you and, of course, drive that market advantage, what he does so well. So what did you have in mind for us today?
Well, it's been a news-filled week, and a lot of new numbers came out to help support the job market. Basically, 419,000 people came back from basically the people that were not participating previously. So the people that are, I guess, the percentage of people that are now employable has gone up by 419,000. They came back to start looking for jobs. So that's a big number. That's part of why the unemployment rate went from 3.4 to 3.6 is, 400,000 people coming back into the job market. So the participation rate is increasing.
Okay.
And that's helping a lot of other areas. The thing that the Fed Bank lights is the only 0.2% increase in the average weekly earnings. So that's really very small. Part of that is who's really coming back in the market. Construction came back like at 24,000. Retail 50,000, but retail is a lower salary, so they're helping to bring down what the average earnings are. And the same thing with travel. Actually, travel increased. Transportation went down 21,000, which was really surprising. That 6 months ago, that's where. If you're in a transportation industry, that was really hot. So now it's gone down. That may be part of because the Christmas buying season is over and there's less transportation, things like that. But health is, the health is up 74,000. Hospitality is up 105,000. That hospitality is a big number. That also helped with reducing the rise of the average earnings. And food service went up, education went up, which is one of the good things is people had moved out of, since all the schools were being remote. A lot of those people are now coming back and looking for jobs, and a lot of schools had to increase class sizes because there weren't enough teachers to do it. So it's coming back pretty strong. There isn't that much new in tech and stuff, so that's one of the things that's just happened today. Right today, our friends from Meta said that they're going to lay off another 10,000 people and close 5,000 job openings. So
I didn't even
that's
hear that
really
yet.
happening.
Okay.
Yeah, that came out this morning. I think that was on CNBC this morning or earlier. So it's it's bouncing around. I mean, part of the problem too is the change. like
Mhm.
advertising on Meta and Google is going down because a lot of companies are, the Christmas season's over. You know, people are working from home, so they're not ordering online anymore. People are starting to go back to the malls and the stores, so the online advertising has gone down. Plus, what came out last week, there was several um, stories out about how full the warehouses are on the West Coast. Basically, there is no more room. You can't even you can't even get space to store goods coming in from Asia to go out. So there's a lot of inventory still out there, and
Wow.
so that's really been a problem. And part of the thing too, and construction's been down, not as high as it should have been because of all the rain in the West Coast, all the bad weather. Now we're getting a snowstorm here, so that has, what they're saying is, suppressed the amount of hiring in those industries. So the so on Friday, where we had 311,000 new jobs come in, with all that bad news, that's a pretty good number. What they're saying is, for over the last uh, few months, the last 6 months, I think 6 months, we added 1.7 million new jobs.
Wow.
So we're adding a lot of positions. It seems like it's rejiggering, I guess is
Good word.
is
Yep.
the term I use. It's if I mean I go out with my wife like once a week, once every other week, to go have a small dinner or something like that, just to get out of the house. And we actually there met a bartender who used to work in Manhattan, and she basically, she was working up here because a lot of the restaurants and bars haven't really returned to normal.
Mhm.
And last week she was gone.
Ah,
So she returned to the city.
wow.
And
How's she feel about that?
I haven't seen her since she left, but
Okay.
she basically said, part of it is, she's couldn't wait to go back to the city because she made 3 times more money.
Yeah.
So the rejiggering of where people work and what they're doing is starting to happen, which is somewhat what we said, you know, over the last few weeks, that people are going to change, or go back and look for where they were if they made more money. A
Mhm.
lot of the bartenders and hospitality workers and waiters, those expensive restaurants in the city, I
Mhm.
mean, basically they cut back or they closed for a while because they weren't open. All those people had to find new jobs.
Yeah.
You can't, it's you can't stay on unemployment, even the extended unemployment, because of COVID for 3 years.
Mhm.
So basically they've had to find new jobs and things like that. Now that I believe the city said they're at 50% back to work.
Wow.
So it's better than the 35 it was 6 months ago. So
True. Uh-huh.
yes,
Mhm.
so different places are opening back up. So now the job churn is starting again, and people are leaving or going there. But there's been a lot of reentry also into the lower end of, like, supermarkets can find people again. Before that, you couldn't get anybody there,
Yeah.
6, 7 months ago. Stores now are able to hire more. So the market is changing again. And now that they're back, people are still moving around trying to find where's the best place to work. And that's happening also in different service areas, right? I mean, it's, retail, places like Target and Walmart are almost finished selling off their excess inventory from 2 years ago. Um, so they're starting to, their numbers are starting to improve. But again, that hurts things like advertising online for Google and for Facebook, because they're really not, they're trying to get back to having people in stores, not to have people
Working
order
from
from home.
And yep.
So that's all changing. And Walmart a few months ago cut back a lot of their staff and consolidated their real estate to make it work better and more cohesively, because again, the online stuff is not growing as everyone had hoped after 9/11, not 9/11, COVID. So that rejiggering is still happening. And I think a lot of companies have actually improved what they're doing.
Sorry, my camera shut off. Okay, go ahead, I'm here.
I thought you went away.
Is it the weather? Oh no. Oh no.
Well, I think some schools are closed, so there's probably kids, at least up here, are some of them are doing school from home. But because they have actually the town declared an emergency, so I think the schools are closed. They don't want you on the roads. Why would they allow school buses on the road? So I know here it's pretty bad, but internet from where I am is pretty good. So really what's happening now is the bad news for YouTube and not YouTube, Meta and Google is helping a lot of other companies meet their needs for technology workers. And who's a few more, I think it was YouTube, not YouTube, Meta put out a statement saying that they want workers to come back 3 days a week, because they did a study and found that the people who come back to the office at least 3 days a week are now more productive. So they're pushing for that. I think over time they made instead of 100% working from home, hybrid is going to happen, but I still believe that hybrid is here to stay. Some working from home is here to stay. My son, who's works from home, working for the local hospital in their ERP systems, basically says, they're not even thinking about asking anybody to come back, right? Until at least the flu season is over, and
really,
they don't want anybody back because the RSV, the flu, there's still some COVID coming around. I mean, the COVID is slowing down a bit, but they're terrified that so many people coming back into the work environment is going to spread. And one of the other,
I know 3 people who got COVID within the past 2 weeks. I'm like, is it really back on the rise like this? Wow.
Well, the local hospital system here had to close one of the hospitals. Not really close it, but they shut down non-critical procedures because there was so much COVID and so many nurses were out. So if the nurses are getting COVID, it's pretty bad because they're usually the most careful. But besides that, I think the big thing for today people should take is that the rejiggering, or people going back to find their original jobs in the different industries, is basically in full force. And people need to be prepared to make those jumps as while the market is still high. I think the market, what they say, there was the JOLTS report. I don't know. I should really explain that. JOLTS report is something that's put out by the U.S. Labor Department that says how many job openings are being advertised for. And that went back up. It's now up to 10.8 million, up from 10.6 million. So the amount of openings has increased, not decreased. So even with all the layoffs and everything else, people are still looking for a lot of jobs in a lot of different areas. I think that one of the things that came out, some stuff, is that the jobs are in the wrong place. People, if the jobs can't be done remotely, which is a lot of factory work and other kinds of service jobs, that people are actually in the wrong place. And at some point, they're going to have to do something to get the people to move, or spend more time to entice the local colleges to
Yeah.
actually help with the education for those jobs so that they can hire more people. So finding jobs that that require talent or extra training. Some companies are now actually uh, sending people part-time to some of the community colleges to pick up some of the skills that they need to expand their employment for different manufacturing kinds of jobs. So that seems to be happening a lot now, to try to get people in the right place. Before, I mean, if you go back before COVID-19, some of the towns that were mining towns that closed down, the government was providing training and stuff to have people move,
Mm-hmm.
and people didn't want to move because that's where their family is, that's where their friends is. Why do I want to move? All that other kind of stuff. So I think a lot of the industry is trying to figure out how they're going to find people, and that they really have to work on getting people local at some point and provide the training for them. It was, I think, back in the early 2000s, where a lot of companies had stopped doing employee training, whether it's for, rather back office kind of stuff or for manufacturing stuff. They felt that there was enough people out there that they could hire without doing training. What's happening now is training is becoming a huge requirement, and actually some of the requirements I'm seeing now for people who are actually looking for jobs, who are accepting jobs, want to have ensured in their sign-on letter that the companies are going to provide extra training for ongoing growth within the companies,
Mm-hmm.
which is becoming a new thing. And that, that's been a big thing. I mean, all the CFOs went to conferences. It basically says, like back in 2000, everybody was jumping from you didn't stay in a job more than a couple of years, and it reinforced the job hoppers. Well, now that you're finding out, you have just the opposite problem. Is because you didn't provide training and people haven't grown in their positions, right? They're leaving because other companies are now will give them the promotion and also give them the training to support those promotions.
Oh.
So the world is changing, and the
Mm-hmm.
ability to negotiate those skills and those bennies has grown. Training is a pretty cheap benny. It's not all that expensive to companies. So I mean that's sort of what's happening for people to be able to fill their ranks.
Yep.
It used to be that training used to give each company a pool of people to draw on as their needs expand, or as people leave, and you can refill them with 12 trained people. Now, since the 2000 to 2020, that's really been dead. That really hasn't happened all that much. Now, people are terrified. Now I can't hire people. I have to train people within,
Mm-hmm.
and people are saying as part of their compensation package that they want to see that, or that's, if you don't have that, I'm not going to go through this again. So it's a lot of changes in those pieces, and I think rightfully so. But the big thing that most people aren't doing is being prepared for the change. As we talked about, the work environment is changing. People are moving to backfill positions where people are now leaving, and you have to be ready for those. And those opportunities will probably only going to last for a certain period of time. At some
Yeah.
point, the workplace is going to balance out.
Hmm.
So having your LinkedIn profile done properly, having your resumes done properly, all that work, sets you up for being able to take one of those opportunities. Because now you're seeing, because of the low unemployment rate, uh, most of the people that recruiters want are working. And if you want to get promotion, your company doesn't have a spot for you. Well, where are you going to go? So recruiters are really looking for people who are on the cusp of, yeah, I can make the next jump, and the companies aren't going to give you that jump. So that's how they're going into a lot of places. So being ready for those, having recruiters search and find you for the appropriate next step is going to help you. And again, if you go back through time, other than the COVID era now, there used to be more than enough employees where, you know, you it was easy enough to deal with people that were unemployed, even though they really didn't want to do that. But
Hmm.
companies now are having to go and poach people. So if you're ready for that jump,
Coach.
all the
Good
more
word. Yep.
that you're going to get found. And I keep telling people. I mean, some of the people I've done work with and have gone to some of my seminars and stuff. Now, one of the most common, one of the biggest statements is, "I will never be unprepared again with my resume or my LinkedIn profile." Right? Says because you never know when a company is going to lay people off, which we're seeing now in a lot of areas. Whoever thought Meta would be laying off, they were growing like gangbusters. Google was growing like gangbusters.
Hmm.
So all that stuff, things change, and you have to be ready to take that opportunity, or else it's an opportunity loss. And then there's still a lot of people who complain that they really haven't been promoted in quite some time. So be prepared for the recruiter doing their searches, so that you can be one of those people that gets that opportunity to get that promotion or that raise and things like that. That's really what I'm seeing now is people are trying to take the next step. Some people are trying to take, okay, I have one more opportunity to get my big spot,
Of course.
that I'm going to be there for a long time. So how do I get there? And what do I have to do to get there? And, some companies, like Meta and them are laying people up. Well, how do I land properly from a layoff, even though there's plenty of jobs? And that's, all that kind of being prepared, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when the opportunity is going to be there. So being prepared in this job market is important, and that's really what's sort of happening now is people, my son refused to be prepared, even though he got a job pretty fast. But a lot of people said, I'm not, these companies are in good shape. They're not going to lay off, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, poof. So, so that's really happening. And people are looking at the bottom line. I mean, there's a lot of companies who thought, right, a year ago, who thought that the transportation industry is down, 20,000 workers because they were exploding a year ago.
Yeah.
So what side of the fence are you on with? What's your company doing? Is it growing too fast? Or, like what Meta did and has to downscale because they're growing faster than their revenue can support? Or, COVID is over, the environment is changing, people aren't buying clothes and those kind of materials, are looking at services or vacations, you know, and you have United, right? United says, "Oh, we're trying to hire, we're trying to hire, we're trying to hire. We're going to be hiring for the next 6 to 9 months," and they announced yesterday that they're not going to make their numbers for the first quarter.
Mm.
So you can never tell where it is. Being prepared for your next opportunity is the best way to get that opportunity. So, and that's sort of why I do what I do. I mean, just this week I got 2 groups asked me to do seminars because all of a sudden people are coming back and are looking for new jobs.
Oh,
And so it's definitely starting to happen. If I could be a help, that would be really fabulous. I recommend my book, which is basically a do-it-yourself version of how to do your LinkedIn profile and make it stand out. And if you want to contact me, I'm Don Wittman, Donald J. Wittman on LinkedIn, and you can get me at Don at LinkedInguy.com or Don at WhittmanTechnology.com, or you can go to my website. And now my book is out there. It's been rated #1 when we launched it in the summertime for the US, and Canada and the UK. And probably next month when we reload the new version, we're going to hit #1 again in all 3 places. So the new version is coming out, as well as my independent professional book will be coming out. So there's a lot of new stuff out there. And the independent professional is to address the market where companies now are hiring more and more independent contractors rather than hire people full time. So trying to help everybody out and with their landing the position they want, getting the money they want. So having a lot of fun doing that.
clearly. Thank you so much. Don Wittman, how do we reach you? One more time, tell us the best forms.
Sure. You can get me at Don at LinkedInguy.com, Don at WhittmanTechnology.com, or on LinkedIn at Donald J. Wittman. And Wittman is Wittman. And look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Good luck with the weather. Hopefully it'll be easy on us.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.